In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Terrifier trilogy to the X trilogy. These are all horror films. When it comes to the highest score for each franchise, in the case of X, the first movie has the highest score of 94%. In the case of Terrifier, the second movie has the highest score of 87%. Then when you look at lowest score, man, in the case of X, all of these movies have good to great scores on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, the lowest score is still a 72% for the latest film, Maxine, that came out this year. That's not quite certified fresh, but it's still definitely a good score. Whereas Terrifier, the first movie, only has a 60%, which is only just barely fresh. When you look at average score, X has an average of 86, Terrifier only has an average of 74. Then when you look at gap between lowest and highest score, you have a gap of 22 in the case of X and a gap of 27 in the case of Terrifier. So the gap's a little bit smaller. For X, it wins here. So it's won every single round, meaning it's going to win regardless of my personal opinion. I haven't actually seen any of these movies. I've just heard things about them. And based on what I've heard, it seems to me like the X trilogy is a bit more interesting, where each of the movies has a different feel to it. Like they're all doing something a little bit different. Whereas with Terrifier, it seems to me like each individual movie isn't trying to be that different from the others. All three of them are similar. Not that they're identical, but it doesn't seem like there's quite as much variation there. Feels to me like Terrifier has done a good job of delivering for people who like this kind of thing. These movies have done a good job of giving the fans what they want. X has had more critical success, as you can tell. It's inherently going to be a bit more broadly accessible. It feels to me like Terrifier is naturally more of a niche thing that's not going to be for everybody. For people who like this kind of thing, they're really into horror, it's like they're having a great time with Terrifier, but other people are just not going to like it. That isn't at all unusual that people have different tastes, preferences. So when it comes to which franchise is better, I think it's a question of which do I choose? And the trilogy that's more broadly accessible, that's a bit more interesting because all the movies are doing something different, versus the movies that are inherently a bit more niche but appeal really well to their fans, to their audience. I think at the end of the day, it's a hard one. I'm going to choose the Terrifier franchise because it seems to me like that trilogy is working better for its target audience, whereas X has split people a little bit more. Not that the latest movie got bad reviews or anything like that, but based on what I've heard, that's the feel that I've gotten. So I'm going to choose Terrifier. It seems to me like the people who make these films know what their audience wants and just are trying to deliver for them. They're not trying to make movies that are going to be for everybody. That'll wrap things up for now.